So we've been kind of waiting for this, but Noah Samsen finally made a video talking about the Ethan Klein lawsuit. Just want to go over it with you, make sure we're all on the same page, because again, this isn't just about Noah. This is about all content creators. If other content creators are going to sue each other for having differing political opinions or feeling offended that we're organizing you or categorizing you in a way that you feel offensive, like telling a conservative they're homophobic for being anti-gay marriage, and they refuse to take on that label because in their mind it's not homophobia, it's just what's right. Well, we're running into bigger problems than just Ethan and Noah. So this is a bigger issue. This is about all of us.
Hey everyone, it's me, Noah, long time no see. Today I'm going to talk about being sued, or being threatened with a lawsuit at least. I haven't actually been sued yet. Ethan Klein and Mutahar from Some Ordinary Gamers have said that they plan on suing me for defamation. They're doing this in response to a video I posted in March called The YouTubers Who Backed a Genocide. I brought up these legal threats in another video of mine, but they decided to escalate things by paying a lawyer to write a cease and desist, which they sent to me in late March, and in it they ordered me to retract my video within 3 weeks or get my little ass sued. Ethan Klein went on to read the cease and desist on his live stream and repeat this threat over and over again on subsequent episodes.
He started his second video by saying, Ethan's threatened to sue me. It's not a threat. I'm going to sue you.
Oh.
Wait. I'm literally going to sue you for defamation.
Uh-oh.
Noah said in his second video, Ethan's threatening to sue me. Have fun with that, I guess. He said, well, I'm about to have fun with it. And unfortunately, I don't think you're going to be having much fun with it.
He didn't respond to my video by his own admission. He just read what his lawyer wrote for him and then said that his full response would happen in court.
I know he wants me to respond to every point in his video, which I will do in a much more formal setting.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
And I can't wait for you. You know, you can do your cute little videos and all that kinds of business on your YouTube channel. But when it comes to, you know, I'd love to see you reason out in a court document about how I and Mutahar support genocide. I really look forward to that.
Despite all of the
When you say Israel has the right to defend itself, that's a pro-genocidal propagandist talking point. Case closed.
threats from these guys, as I said at the outset, I haven't been sued yet. It's been over 3 weeks since the retraction deadline, and as you may see on my channel, the video is still up. Here's a clip of the last time Ethan even mentioned it, which was over 2 weeks ago.
Noah Samsen, he has missed his deadline. Actually, Mutahar is in the chat. What did he say? Did you see that Noah's apparently moving out? Yeah, he's sorry, no video, been moving, etc. Video coming soon. It's amazing how nobody wants to respond to me. Everybody goes cold feet. If you're going to level an attack against me, the least you could...
Because with peace and love, my bro, do you know why no one responds to you, Ethan? God, I should have had this ready. Girl, because when people do and they try to come to you with compassion and love and genuinely the most open-hearted message ever, you bombard, harass, and make it so they have to take their content down from the internet, because you literally do not create a safe enough space for people to express themselves or to retort to you without it being an escalation. This is Dr. Kirk Honda, who made an attempt to give insight into Ethan, but this video was taken down because he was harassed so severely. He even took down his TikTok and Instagram because Ethan fans came and harassed him.
Mental state is declining and declining and declining. His employees are maybe even encouraged by him to.
And Dr. Kirk Honda, for context, said this after the content cop that Ian did, because Ethan admitted he's going on snark websites and reading all about himself. Me, Joe Rogan, Dr. Kirk, Hassan, so many people say all the time, stop reading about yourself on the internet. Hassan said he took Twitter off of his phone because it was fucking with his mental health. I don't even have a Twitter anymore. Because I was like, this is messing with my mental health. Reading about myself on Reddit when people are so wrong about me messes with my mental health. You shouldn't be reading about yourself. And the fact that Ethan is doing that is all Dr. Kirk Honda is saying is like, hey, Ethan, anybody in this position who is reading thousands of messages about themselves would be mentally impaired. You're not crazy. You're human. Stop doing this to yourself. And Ethan said, I can't believe as a professional, you would say this. You would say that I was losing my mind. And then Ethan's viewers went for Dr. Kirk Honda, and some allegedly even said they were trying to report him to the board. Yeah, Dr. Kirk Honda is going to feel very scared and concerned. And keep in mind, Dr. Kirk Honda reviews celebrities all of the time, and none of them have an issue with him. If anything, most of those people reach out to Dr. Kirk Honda and end up coming on his show because they really appreciate the work he does. Only Ethan Ethan is the one who Dr. Kirkonda was like so shocked that Ethan's reaction was so hostile. Okay?
To feed him everything, and maybe even especially the hatred, because that's what gives him fuel to talk about online. Well, that will do a number on your soul. It's going to affect you. It's going to infect you if you don't have a way of pushing back on it. So he gets more hurt, more angry, more fearful, and becomes more black and white thinking, more reactive. He starts to fight back. Initially, it's probably somewhat justified, maybe sometimes crossing the line. Then those people hear that and they attack back, and more random people are attacking, some of which are justified, but some of which is not. And then it creates this feedback loop where he gets funneled all that. He has no approach to pushing back. He gets more terrified, more worried, more convinced that the straw man is out there that he's built up in his mind. And he gets more worried, more terrified, more angry, more hostile. That's what he knows how to do. And he goes after them and has spontaneous reactions on his live streams and doesn't seem to have any approach to how to manage what he says other than
Exactly.
the button, right?
Except for the button. Exactly. Because what Ethan is doing is just everything every content creator always says not to do. Don't read comments, sit down, make sure you center yourself, and make sure you understand that no matter how much you say something the perfect way, people will hate you for it. And also, if you're open-minded enough, consider that the criticism against you might be warranted. And that's the dilemma is, look, if Ethan wants to double down on his position, double down. But he's not doing that. He's still upset that people don't see him as this progressive instead of just owning that you're not a progressive and you're like liberal. And get over it. Like, get over the fact that Democrats aren't progressive and just be okay with that. But he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to be a dirty Democrat. He wants to be a righteous progressive without doing anything progressive in his life. It's like, girl, just own it and your mental health would be better. Conservatives have better mental health than Ethan Klein. Okay?
Could do is respond.
God, I love this, man. Why won't you play with me? Why does no one want to play with me? Come on. Ever since the retraction deadline passed, the ball has been in Ethan's court. Not responding to a cease and desist is a response on its own, right? According to these people, I'm still actively defaming them because my video is still public, so it's on them to do something about it. But again, aside from some beautiful bills, my mailbox remains empty. If you're wondering where I've been, there's a few reasons I haven't really been able to post much. I've had some personal things going on. I recently moved. I also got doxxed by a certain community of fans of a certain podcast, which I'll talk about in another video. But one of the things that I've been dealing with is preparing for the possibility of being sued. This was all new to me. I've never been sued and I've never sued anybody. So I had to spend some time and money learning about defamation law and talking to lawyers and free speech organizations. One thing I was definitely advised was to not post for a little while because, you know, anything said online would very likely be used against me in a potential lawsuit. Now, it is possible that these people might still sue me because rich people can do whatever they want, whenever they want, including sue whoever they want at any time for any reason. But it's worth noting that Ethan has also been a bit preoccupied in recent weeks, going beast mode in some live debates in front of hundreds of thousands of people.
What?
What? You don't know what I'm talking about?
What is?
What? Yeah, it was on the list. You're lying.
Yeah. I got a free Rolex
Cool,
hat
dude.
from a friend of mine. I still wear it every now and then.
Yeah, and you're so, oh, wow, who knew? All right, listen, it's 5 o'clock. Like I said, I have a family to go to. I have 3 kids and a wife, and I know that you have a fucking cool-ass race car bed to sleep in, and I hope you enjoy that.
Okay, man. Thank you. Have a good one.
And dealing with another very real defamation lawsuit that he's currently losing to a former billionaire, which is a thing that's actually happening right now. He could be on the hook for a lot of money, which is crazy. So maybe he's just busy and going to get around to it eventually. Personally, though, I don't think they're going to follow through with these threats for a few reasons, but the biggest one is just that they don't have a case. I think it's pretty clear that this cease and desist was sent to me with one goal, which was intimidation. It was an attempt to silence my criticism of these creators' genocide, apologia, and participation in baseless smear campaigns against pro-Palestine creators and movements.
All he has to do to avoid getting sued is apologize for everything he said and did, admit he was either lying or ignorant, and erase the video and also just disgrace, like, and just accept the disgrace that is basically lying about two people being pro-genocide, which is one of the most twisted, fucked up things you can accuse someone of.
This sort of thing often works because most people just don't have the resources to deal with a lawsuit. In my case, I don't have the resources either, but what I do have is you, an audience of people that have been very vocally supportive of the potential for contributing to a legal fund. I'll be honest though, I would prefer it if they didn't sue me. Not because I think they have a case, nor because I don't think we can raise the money. It's just that I don't feel comfortable fundraising for legal fees right now, given the many better places that.
Interesting. So this is, okay, I find this interesting. What are your thoughts on Denim suing Ethan, guys? Because I thought Noah was going to do it and we were going to support Noah because Ethan hit first. But the fact that Denims is suing Ethan is like, so I don't get what's happening. Like, a part of me, I don't know if I should trust Denims or not. I don't know. The internet's too suspicious to me. But Noah felt like he was attacked first, so we should support. She dropped it for now. Didn't she just raise $40,000? What do you mean she dropped it? She refunded the money? Okay, good. Then I think that's good towards her character. Okay, that's better towards her character that she did that, I think, because I don't know why Denims, like, we can't get behind Denims. We can get behind Noah because he was a victim. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why Denims was, you know what I mean? I get that Ethan said things about her, but I don't want to escalate into YouTubers suing each other. That's why I don't like it. I didn't like Denims suing first because I'm like, hey, like, now you're setting a precedent that when people talk bad about you or even lie about you, that you can sue them. And this is going to be very messy for content creators in the future. We're going to have to PG our language so much, and we're going to all need lawyer teams. You guys have to understand, YouTube will not be YouTube forever if you keep treating it the way you're treating it. You know, that's what I mean. That's why it was so bad when Ethan in particular started going after YouTubers. So I'm glad that she refunded the money. But yeah, this should feel scary to people that are content creators. So if you're thinking about getting into content creation, be careful what your topic. I'm going to switch content to mukbangs at this point because everybody's just suing people, you know? So that's very frustrating to me. But I think better of Noah here to say, like, I'm not ready to fundraise yet. Like, I think that speaks to his character in general, because maybe it's not the time. And I know people were like, Hassan, you should do it. And even Hassan's like, no. Like, Hassan's like, I don't have to do it yet. Exactly. I think there's discernment here that I'm looking for. Do you know what I mean? Chet says Ethan accused Denims of a crime, calling CPS under false pretenses. Yeah, but Ethan isn't real. There's no consequence to Denims being accused of this legally. It's just the harassment on the internet, which everyone is facing. And that's not good. But the fact that she escalated is interesting. This is about discernment and wisdom. I'm not saying you don't have the right to defend yourself, but you must use discernment and wisdom when defending yourself, especially because it doesn't just impact her. It impacts the whole community. And Noah, by this statement alone, is considering the community. Hassan is considering the community. Ethan isn't. And by Denim starting that thing, I don't think she was either. But I'm glad that it sounds like she's maybe doing something different, which now I don't know why that would happen. I'm not up to date on it because now I'm confused why she did that. Chat says her Insta comments are all about the CPS still. Yes, Ethan's community is toxic. Yes, 100%. I have a very strong stance on what YouTubers should do as retaliation for harassment, and none of it is going to court unless it escalates to a life-threatening situation, in which that would be different. Keep in mind that YouTubers have been sued by celebrities because of the way they gossip about celebrities. So be very careful, again, when it comes to free speech, when we are going after people for what they say and what opinions they have. Because remember, that's why we were mad at Ethan in the first place. Because why is Ethan going after people for saying their opinions? Why is Trump going after people for saying their opinions? We either get to say our opinions or we don't. If you can prove in court, though, that the opinion has escalated to stalking, harassment, or a direct death threat, then we can have conversations. I'm not supporting the harassment from the communities. I'm not supporting that. I've been harassed by Destiny's community, by all those debate bros on the YouTube. It gives me an incredible sense of anxiety, and I hate it. I hate every part of the harassment when it comes my way. But at the same time, I don't know a better solution, and I'm waiting for the wisdom to know what the better solution is that doesn't land us in court because we didn't like what other people said about us. We should be having conversations about not weaponizing our communities. We should be having conversations about how to de-escalate this tension. We should be having conversations about how YouTubers themselves are partially responsible for how their communities react. And we should be taking that into consideration, that a lot of these YouTubers are participating in escalation, whether we like it or not. And whether or not you think it's deserved. But I do think there's a lack of wisdom here, you know?
Money could go, like aid for the people being subjected to this ongoing genocide. Seeing as they haven't sued me yet, that's what we're going to do. That's what this video is for. It's a fundraising video. I started a fundraiser for UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. The donation link is in the description. I'll also be hosting a fundraising live stream with some special guests and some gaming and hanging out and other things of the sort, which will start on Saturday, May 17th at 2 p.m. Pacific time and probably go for a few days. I don't usually stream, but I'm thinking of playing some games.
I'm going to put the fundraiser in the chat.
Maybe set up an air mattress and do a sleeping stream. I've seen that before. It looks fun. I've set the goal at $200,000 because that's what I was actually quoted as being a safe amount to fundraise in order to be able to afford a potential prolonged legal battle against Ethan and Mutahar, which is crazy, right? That's a lot of money. But I was also thinking we could show them that that's a figure we can achieve if we need to. And instead of it going to a lawyer for some bullshit YouTuber lawsuit, it would go to Gaza. If these guys actually do decide to sue me though, in terms of the actual lawsuit, again, I'm not too worried. I told the truth and said what I believed, and I'm prepared to defend it in court should it make it that far. If that does happen, I'll just do another fundraiser, I guess, and then we can donate whatever we don't use once the case gets dropped. It could be a little or it could be a lot. That all depends on how long these guys want to drag this out. I want to talk a bit more about the case, the cease and desist, and a few other things. But first, we need to do a sponsor break. I got to do sponsors because my videos get demonetized and I don't post that much. Support me on Patreon if you want to stop.
It's true. A lot of our videos get demonetized, but you should support Noah.
Stop seeing them.
If you like him, I'm not advocating for Noah because I don't know him like that, but his work is good.
Thank you to Delete Me for sponsoring this video. Delete Me is a data removal service that makes securing your online privacy simple, affordable, and effective. Your personal data is being sold online by data brokers. Anyone can buy them, which means you're potentially at risk of being harassed, doxxed, or attacked.
Thank you so much for future May Queen joining memberships, guys. Thank you for being here. I just muted Noah's ad, but I think you should go check it out if that's something you're interested in doing. YouTubers got to pay their bills, you know.
And more. The process is really simple. First, you'll fill out a search removal form. Then once you pay securely, Delete Me will begin the process immediately. You can also request custom removals by sending specific links and run online scans to self-select the data that you want removed. I've used and trust Delete Me because as an online public figure, it's obvious.
And by the way, one of the tactics I used when I was being harassed by a Destiny's community is I just blocked everybody. And it did ruin my algorithm for a while. Like my videos were considered like not engaged with, but I just blocked everybody. And it eventually stops because the users who would take the time to harass people eventually got bored. And if they make new accounts, I just block people. Like it's okay to have, you know, intense opinions, but because it helps the algorithm like push out my videos. And there is a dilemma to it. When you block people's comments, it ruins your chance of your videos getting pushed out to people. So for a short time, I did punish my own channel so I wouldn't have to wake up every day to kill yourself messages. But at the end of the day, like you can't be writing kill yourself messages on my videos, you know? So all these communities that are being harassed, permanently ban usernames, okay? Slow down your algorithm for a second. And then eventually they'll get bored. Because remember, they're just lonely people at home who will eventually get bored. And God forbid one of them actually is a threat to your life, because that is a possibility, right? At the end of the day, like you won't know through a comment section, you know? And so again, I don't like escalating these situations because I do find that it is real life. Eventually it will come to real life. And we should be very worried about that. We should be very worried that online spats are coming to our front doors. And that includes people who came to Ethan's front door by sending, you know, skulls to his house. We should be concerned that it's getting escalated. And that's why we cannot participate in the escalation. And no matter how you participate in the escalation, you can still be a victim of a crime. Remember not to victim blame through this process, but to remember that discernment and wisdom forces you to consider your participation in the escalation and how you yourself can make different decisions to avoid situations like this. Not always, not perfectly, but it's about harm reduction. And Ethan could use some harm reduction in his life, okay?
obviously a helpful option to have, but I think those benefits also extend to anyone with any sort of online presence, which is most people. Take control of your digital footprint today and protect your personal data with Delete Me, your trusted partner in online.
Chet said, I don't think skulls were sent to his house. I highly doubt it. I don't know. And that's the problem. I don't know. I just know the FBI is involved and that should matter. I don't know though. And that's the problem. I'm not going to pretend like I know. I wasn't there. I don't know. So I'm just going to assume it happened. It's the internet. The internet's a crazy place, right? I don't know why we're pretending it's not. Christina Grimmie was killed by a fan, right? Like it happens. Okay. So remember, it might not be an Ethan hater who's going for him. It might be a fan. Christina Grimmie was killed by one of her fans. A lot of the time, your stalkers are fans. They're not people who hate you. They're people that love you. So remember, be very cautious. Okay.
Online privacy. Get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/Samson and use my promo code Samson at checkout. All right, now let's get back to the video. Okay, so about that defamation case, it really seems like none of the people that are supporting or promoting this lawsuit have any clue what defamation actually is. So I want to go over that very briefly.
Calling somebody a supporter of a genocide is a very different thing than saying somebody's career is cooked or saying that somebody fell off.
Asmin, genuinely, he should be careful here.
Or making
He's not one to talk, you know?
a video about an internet drama. One of them is a real legitimate thing where people are bad. And the fact is that this is totally different than just a drama slop thing. This is completely different.
For someone to be found liable for defamation, there's a few bars that need to be reached. First, the plaintiff must establish that the allegedly defamatory claim is a statement of fact. Next, that statement of fact must be provably false. It also must have caused demonstrable damages to the plaintiff's finances or reputation. And lastly, the statement has to have been made with actual malice. Actual malice is a legal standard. It's the highest legal standard for defamation claims, and it's only applied to public figures. Basically, it means that the defamatory statements have to be proven to have been made with the existing knowledge that these statements were false. Now, the first hurdle of Ethan and Mutahar's lawsuit threat is establishing that claim 1, that they backed the genocide, evidenced by my video's title and thumbnail, is a provably false statement of fact. They immediately fail here, though, because it's not a statement of fact, it's an opinion. It's the conclusion of the arguments and evidence I presented in my video. In defamation cases, when distinguishing between opinion and fact, the broader context of where the statements were made must be considered. In the cease and desist, the lawyer they paid to...
And by the way, I just want to make it abundantly clear, it would never have been wrong for Ethan to simply make videos about Noah. If Ethan saw this video and was like, what the fuck is this? I'm offended. And then Ethan meant to make content about Noah, that would have been fine. That's actually what old school YouTube used to be. Is you'd make a video, then someone else would make a video, then you make a video, and then you guys would actually converse via the video responses. That's kind of what Ryan Beard does on their channel. Is like, it's so old school YouTube. But like, that would have been fine. That would have been discourse. But I can understand. Do you remember when I covered Think Before You Can Sleep? I hate that channel, PS. And remember he went after Alyssa? And remember that she flagged his video, which I do think was the wrong thing to do because his video was fine within itself. The issue wasn't the video, even though I think the video was horrible. Like, I need you to understand the video and the opinions in it, trash, garbage, absolutely trash. But the issue at hand wasn't that he made a video about a content creator. The issue was that his audience harassed Alyssa. His audience bombarded her comments. They also bombarded my comments. Okay. And I want to make it clear, like, I think it's the YouTuber, it's the audience they bring in. All these angry boys who have the time to go to other people's videos and just write the most horrendous shit on it. Think Before You Sleep was too stupid to realize he had no opinion on Alyssa's video and should never have made his video in the first place. But that's what he does. He makes slop. He makes stupid videos from a conservative perspective about things he doesn't know what he's talking about. Alyssa made a cute video about her own experience as a person. Okay, as an autistic queen, for the record. And it was a great video. And it had nothing to do with Think Before You Sleep's fucking perspective. But Think Before You Sleep decided to make a video about it. Fine. There was nothing wrong with that. I mean, it was something, it was kind of wrong because he was too stupid to know that. Anyways, his audience was the issue. And ultimately, he needs to put his audience in their corner. Okay? He needs to say to his audience, hey, You are making my job harder by harassing people. You need to let me do my job and leave your comments in my videos. Stop going to Alyssa's video. But he didn't do that. Not enough, not aggressively. And you know why? Because it still happened by the thousands. Thousands of comments on her video, hundreds of comments on my videos. And that's the problem. No one wants accountability for the shitty part of their audiences, but when so many of your audience, like thousands of people, are going over to somebody else's video, this is a problem. Now, to be fair, I think all of the streamer bubbles are incredibly immature. And I think all of them are big adults with lots of money and none of the discernment or wisdom. And I think I was a part of that bubble. I'm trying to get out of it. It's hard because you want to be in the conversations, but nobody's having a real conversation. I think that's why I appreciate FD Signifier having boundaries, or even the way Noah conducts himself. I appreciate that there's a way to have these conversations without hopefully sending each other's audiences after each other. But I am frustrated. I think we should all feel frustrated that none of us are grown up enough in the room to have a real conversation about anything that's happening. That when Sam Cedar tries to have a real conversation with Ethan, Ethan goes, man, this turned hostile. Bro, you were just called out by another person who said it's not anti-Semitism. And you couldn't handle it for 2 seconds. These are very contentious issues. These are serious issues. People are being genocided and we're sitting here making content like it's not like a big deal. This is a big deal. You guys are playing with people's lives like it's not a big deal. Actually, hold on. Let me show you this TikTok because I think Chris said it the best. Because my stream stopped. Wait, am I here? No, I am here. Ooh, my video was like, stream stopped. Okay, hold on. This is the problem with online content creation. Okay, this is the problem with the way that we're having these very serious conversations.
I'm gonna say it. Just because you see images of dead children, as disgusting and frustrating and upsetting as it is, does not automatically make a war unjust.
I'm gonna say it. Just because you are getting the bag in and you are receiving crumbs of attention on the internet for spreading your abhorrent propaganda does not make it acceptable. Because in this video, this person basically admits that they work for the Israeli government.
And for the last 4 years, I've worked in some capacity for my full-time job in the Israel education advocacy space.
They say that they've been working within the Israel advocacy space, but you only have 30,000 followers. You're not generating your own income. You are being paid by the Israeli government, or at least an NGO or an organization that is adjacent to it. And you sit there and act as if it is the photos and images on the internet that are made to manipulate people's emotions, rather than the fact that the state that you support is currently paying people like you, white Westerners who appeal to people's Christianity, to spread nonsense like this so that Israel can commit crimes. It is in no way normal or acceptable to go on the internet every day and make rubbish like this so you can support a state which is currently starving 2 million people, which is currently trying to wipe away 2 million people's history and culture with the express goal of expelling them and never allowing them to return to their own lands. She says that she's getting a master's degree in genocide studies, but how dare you make videos like this if you really are? Because surely you must see that there are an incredible amount of experts who are referring to what Israel is doing as genocide. And under the vast majority of definitions, even Raphael Lemkin, the man who coined its definition, that Israel is perpetrating genocide. This is shameful, disgusting behavior.
Very typical in conservative spaces, very typical in the bubble I grew up in, very typical in a lot of spaces where people are like, sometimes you got to go to war. Sometimes you got to defend your country by killing other people's kids. And that's why I want to have a serious conversation with somebody. Is nobody problem solving past the violence, or no, we're all just going to keep talking about how we have to kill people? I'd really like to get to the point where we're not killing people, right? That'd be really awesome. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but I think we can always work for the future for it to be less of the focus, less normalized. It's too normalized at this point. And then that's why I think I get frustrated with humans for saying like, oh, I'm so smart, I'm so mature. You're literally advocating for a genocide. You're even bringing violence into the conversation like it's okay. It should be a last resort situation and not the first. And this is the problem. We keep making it the first solution. It's not a solution to the problem we're facing. It's just not. Okay. Let's go back to Noah.
To write it, for them, chose to ignore this broader context, opting instead to single out one word in the video's title, the word backed, characterize that word using one definition from a single source, and then argue that that word, solely using the definition they've interpreted it to mean, is a statement of fact and also a false one. And not only that, but this falsehood is one that I lied about maliciously. When evaluating defamation claims, headlines are not typically treated as statements of fact when the articles themselves explain how this conclusion was reached. That's what my video was for. It was an hour long. I know for a fact that Ethan accused me of defaming him before he'd even watched it, based on the title and the thumbnail alone. If I had to guess, I would say that the decision to threaten a lawsuit came from this knee-jerk reaction to my video's title and thumbnail, and that knee-jerk reaction was never re-examined because it didn't need to be. Ethan has money and time and no one in his life that is willing to challenge him on something like this, especially not his lawyer who he is paying. So whatever he thinks and says is truth. So how do they go about trying to prove?
And by the way, Chad, I think you are right. You said content creators also model the appropriate behavior for their audience. Like parenting, you don't have control, but you have influence. When they act horribly, their audience will do the same. I agree. And that's all I'm saying. I'm saying, look, you can't be responsible for every single person in your audience. But if if the reputation of you as a content creator is people are afraid to say anything against you because your audience will harass them and dox them, that's on you. That is like, you need to do something drastic. And that's why Ethan originally went more left, because he noticed his audience as a whole was right-winged and Nazi adjacent. And he's like, hey, I got to change something. But it's crazy that now he's like, I don't have to change anything I'm doing, even though his audience is ruthlessly bullying and harassing people on the internet. Interesting.
Prove this claim of defamation. Well, it's pretty interesting. They actually go with the no, I didn't defense. They essentially claim, we couldn't have possibly supported a genocide because elsewhere we have said that we don't. We said that genocide is bad, so we are exempt from any criticism for any other things we may have said that do actually support a genocide. For this point, one of the quotes that they cite is Mutahar saying, I'm not afraid to say that genocide is wrong. Wow, how brave of you, Mutahar. Aside from that being just false, Mutahar stayed silent on Gaza throughout the entirety of the genocide until it was time to join his friends on a Hassan Bad smear campaign. If that's not fear, I don't know what you'd call it other than, I guess, cowardice. But even if it were true, it wouldn't matter. Pointing to examples of lip service doesn't just cancel out other things you've said. Like if someone says that they killed someone and then later says that they didn't, it's not defamation to talk about the first statement without quoting the latter. I didn't think that defense would end up being used by an actual lawyer, but it did, and that's hilarious. Their lawyer is aware of that too, of how unserious this is, as evidenced by his total lack of citations for any case law in this section. This whole claim, the one that's supposed to be the most prominent one, is just blank, and that's because there is no legal precedent for the no, I didn't defense. They're just completely going off vibes. The rest of the cease and desist is just sort of funny to read. A lot of it is them saying, Your Honor, he clip chimped me. Your Honor, he literally didn't even watch the video. They spend like 3 pages attempting to debunk a bad empanada.
No, it has a correction that says 6 pages.
The USA, because I cited it, which is just sort of awesome. It's been said plenty of times already, by Bad Empanada included, but you can't litigate a historical argument in civil court. That's not what civil court is for, and that's not what defamation is. There's one part in the letter where, in an attempt to evidence my malicious intent, their lawyer cites the disparity.
Hold on. Chad says, Brittany, do you think people who criticize Israel but disagree with some pro-Palestinian advocacy deserve leniency, or are they the same as the people who full-throated defend Israel in their actions? I saw a movie once. I don't know if you guys know what it's called. Garrett Hedlund, I think, is in it, or some white boy with blonde hair that looks like Garrett. I think it's Garrett Hedlund. And it's about these like 3 brothers, or no, 2 brothers and a dad, something like that, in the segregated South or something. It's been like 10 years since I saw it. Okay. And the youngest son is friends with the black person. Woo, whoa, brave. Am I bravery in the chat? So brave. Okay. And his dad is a super racist, and his brother is like somewhere in the middle. And there's a scene where they're at a grocery store, and a black person walks through the front door, and the dad's like, slur, get to the back or something, like you shouldn't be entering through the front door. The oldest son is like, hey, like you got to enter through the back door. And the youngest son is definitely like, why should he have to enter through the back door? So when we talk about, leniency or like who's as bad as the other. I can appreciate an acknowledgement of how people learn and there's a spectrum, but please note that the older son, who was nicer in the way he asked the black individual to enter into the back, okay, still racist. Okay, just because he was nicer about it, just because he wasn't as racist as his dad. Okay, so, you know, and at the end of the day, like, if you create a system or a situation that ends up being a racist outcome, it's still race. It doesn't matter. If you create a system like Ethan is, or a situation where Ethan is a framework, where no matter what Ethan says, it ends up just supporting Israeli propaganda and an excuse for them to genocide the Palestinians, then it doesn't matter how pro-Palestine you are. Like, you can say you're pro-Palestine, but your actions contribute to the genocide of Palestinians more than it helps them. You know, when I went through therapy, my therapist made me do a pros and cons list, right? She was sat there and said, let's not make a decision today, but let's make a pros and cons list. Is this action more harm or less harm? And we picked options that included less harm and more of a progressive outcome, right? Moving forward, progressive, right? So your intentions are taken into account, but I kind of need to see the aftermath. Again, I go back to this argumentation because it's the most digestible for a lot of us. Lots of liberals, lots of Democrats are pro-trans rights. But the moment their kid comes out as trans, now they're like, are you sure? Should we go to a therapist? This isn't the person I raised. I didn't have a boy. I had a girl. You know what I mean? So you can say you're pro-trans rights, but if your kid doesn't feel safe enough to come out to you, you're just like a little less transphobic, but you're still transphobic. Okay? And I appreciate you being less racist and less transphobic and less pro-genocide. But when it comes down to it, and right now we have got to be black and white about this, anyone supporting the genocide is bad. We cannot be supporting genocide. This isn't a time to play who's who. You know, in a philosophy bubble, sure, we can spend time because all of us have the privilege to do that. But right now, as we talk and as we create YouTube videos about each other, Palestinians are being starved, targeted, genocided. And this is just one of the genocides happening right now on the planet. So, yeah, should we be more lenient? I think you should be more introspective. I think instead of asking us to be more lenient, you should be more introspective and extrospective and really deconstruct why you're even slightly sounding like you're pro-Israeli or in this situation in any way fighting with pro-Palestinian advocacy right now. Sure, be upset in your own home where no one can hear you about how frustrated you are at some pro-Palestinian advocacy. But in public, that is not going to help the cause because they will use your words to make all Palestinian protesters look bad. So if you care about Palestinians, you can voice your frustration in private. Okay?
In the view counts of my videos accusing me of the legal violation of clout farming, this statement demonstrates that you intended to not just have third parties spread defamatory statements about Ethan, but profit from those defamatory statements. You proved this point yourself when your video entitled Manufacturing Consent for Genocide failed to receive many views, particularly in comparison to the first defamatory video. You made the second defamatory video to further profit from your defamatory statements about Ethan. Your Honor, Noah fell off and tried to climb back to relevance by putting my client's name in his mouth. I encourage people to make videos about Ethan because I think the things he's saying are harmful. I think he's spreading pro-Israel propaganda talking points during Israel's active genocide of the Palestinian people in Gaza. And so far, that's been happening. People are making videos and more people are being exposed to the arguments against these ideas that I think are harmful. Their assumption here, though, that these videos could only have been made for nefarious, self-interested aims, that's just pure projection. I think. For these guys, everything is about views and internet fame. You know, everyone is cynical and self-interested, and no one actually believes the things that they say insofar as those beliefs are able to get eyes on their content. There's no way you could be criticizing someone based on any sort of genuine political motive. No, you must just be wanting to jump in on the dog pile, to cash in and grow an audience of snarkers that are there not because they're against genocidal propaganda, but simply because they don't like you. For no reason. Even when you're being a perfect little angel.
They literally put fucking command centers under hospitals. There was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba. 900,000 Jews were forced choice, but because they were forced out. The vast majority went to the fucking Arabs.
Maybe it's just because they're anti-Semitic. That's probably it. They're probably all anti-Semitic. Anyone that doesn't like me is anti-Semitic. Ethan, through his lawyer, ascribes all of that to me because that's who he is. But, you know, not everyone is like that. Some people just don't like it when you use genocidal talking points because they don't like genocide. And for them, that's a good enough reason on its own.
Guys, you know, brave take in the chat, don't like genocide. Wow. Woo!
To make a YouTube video. What I also like about this one is that, you know, to argue that I'm self-interested, they cite a video I made knowing full well that it would get shadow banned and demonetized, which it did. If I just wanted views and money, I would not have made that video. To be frank, the reason I made that video was on a pretty simple basic principle, which is being against genocide. And that principle manifests itself in me wanting more people to know about how the media is normalizing this genocide. That same principle is why I made the videos about these guys. It just so happens that when YouTubers are in the thumbnail, more people click
1 million views, 142,000 views versus 600,000 views. Yeah, the views are intensely different.
on the video. Ethan is aware of this phenomenon. Obviously, he's used it for me and many others. It is unfortunate that more people care about what their favorite e-celebs have to say about each other than an active genocide, but that's the frame of reality we're working within on the internet. And I don't know, I think people are doing what they can.
And that's not just us. I really need to make this clear to people. It's also the news. That's why Fox News is an entertainment network. That's why the news becomes like reality TV. That's why real journalism feels so hard to find. Because even news outlets know the way to get your attention is to sensationalize it. And that's why I say, guys, I know you keep thinking and people keep saying, like, we don't want that, though. We don't want that. But you do. I know no matter how much you say it, the numbers are the numbers. The numbers. And this is why dirty little capitalists will say, well, people want it. They're speaking with their dollar. Y'all speak with your attention. And that's just the truth. And this is where we have to deconstruct. This is where we owe it to ourselves, if you want to examine the self and say, who do I give my time to? You know, if you're giving your time to both and everything, that's great. But most people aren't doing that. Most people aren't doing that. The numbers are the numbers. Math doesn't lie. Math is the math. And the math is what it is. And that's what I pay attention to too. As much as people say, like, this is an example I used the other day if you didn't see it, but I was watching a foodie channel with my partner and the guy was eating vegan food and he was frustrated that vegans keep saying it's a hamburger when it's not a hamburger. He's like, just say it's tofu. But people don't buy it if they just say it's tofu. He said he would though, but he wouldn't because he's not the person. Like, human beings want things that are familiar to them. We are psychological beings. This idea of free will is so limited. You think you have free will. You think you know why you're clicking on a video. You think you know why you're eating the food you're eating. You think you know why you have the friends you do. But until you deconstruct, until you really understand why you've chosen this food and this hairstyle and this music, until you really accept that some of the things you are doing are not in any way free will, they are just a part of your biological experience, you won't be able to admit that you are absolutely participating in this group project we call life and society. And it is failing because of you as much as it is failing as much because of anybody else. We are failing this together for a reason. It doesn't say much when you yourself say, oh, well, I didn't do this. I didn't participate. I could name you every way that I have participated in harm in society. I could make a list of all the ways that I have from beginning of my life to now for the last 36 years have absolutely contributed harm to society unintentionally because I thought I was doing the good thing, because I thought I was just simply a good person, because I thought, hey, I'm a good person. And then I realized, oh, shit. The road to hell really is paved in good intentions. So remember, this issue we're having online, using content creators to have larger conversations, I do it too with my work because nobody wants to fucking watch a philosopher, guys. I've been watching a lot of Michael, why can't I never remember his name? From Wisecrack, formerly known as Wisecrack. I've been watching a lot of his videos and like philosophy channels, nobody cares. You have to be autistic like I am and have a special interest in philosophy to care. So how do we bring more viewers to my channel? By talking about the things that people do want to talk about, which is their favorite e-celebrities. And then I use that to bring philosophy into the conversation, philosophy through pop culture, to get people to think about their lives and do a little bit less harm every day. Okay? And that's the reality we face, but it is not unique to YouTube. It also exists in everything else. I know, Chet says Wisecrack died, I'm bummed. And why did it die? Because there wasn't enough money in the content. And that sucks. That sucks. Michael Burns, thank you. I just got it. Michael Burns. That's why it sucks that Wisecrack wasn't making enough money. Because it wasn't sensational enough. It wasn't what people, they made great videos, but it wasn't making enough money. And it was sold to a company, and the company was like, we have to lay you all off. That sucks. That sucks. I hate that. I hate every part of that. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And this is why YouTubers do, this is why streamers stream every single day, so they can talk about trending topics every day. I burn out. Personally, I wish I could do that, but I'm not built that way. I literally crash and burn. To be fair, I'm chronically ill, but like I wish I could do that. I would be more popular. I would be more rich. I would be more, but I can't stay on top of every trending topic. I burn out. And that's why the boys who can do it, the girls who can do it, they are making a lot of more money. But a lot of us can't. Michael Burns was just saying that too. Like him and CJ the X, they were just saying like they can't stay on top of every trending topic. But they also understand that comes with like less money or less access. So you have to do it in different ways. So, you know, this isn't just a YouTube specific problem. Everyone runs into this dilemma.
And to try to change that, or at least use it for positive goals, like getting more people to learn about the genocide. And to an extent, for some people, this seemed to work. You know, I got a lot of comments saying they hadn't heard about what's happening in Gaza or about how bad things actually.
And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm telling you right now, somebody said it when we were reviewing the Hassan Piker detained. Not everybody knows about Palestine. Like, I know that sounds crazy because you're thinking, come on, everybody knows it's happening. No. You would be shocked how many grown-ups have no idea what's happening. In the same way, you probably have no idea what's happening in the Congo or Rwanda or in Haiti right now. Yeah, in the same way, you probably don't know what's going on everywhere else. Or how about India and Pakistan? Like you know what I'm saying? Not everybody knows. That's why we all live in bubbles. We think we know what's happening in the whole world because our bubble makes us feel like we're really informed. We know nothing. We know nothing. And that's why we need humility.
Were until that video was recommended to them. And for most people, the only reason it was recommended to them is because I framed it around what some guys on the internet think about it. That was what I'd hoped would happen. Believe me or don't, it doesn't matter. What matters is that factually, some people learned about the genocide and they wouldn't have learned about it if I hadn't used these creators as examples. And the same is true for creators like Bad Empanada or Overzealots or Chris Kunzler and more, and anyone else that wants to join in and use the algorithm for good. And they certainly wouldn't have learned about the genocide from any of these creators themselves, because despite their claims to caring about it,
I've been a stalwart supporter of the Palestinian cause for many years.
None of them ever talk about it at all, aside from when they're, you know, basically smearing its opponents and running cover for the country that's committing it.
They literally put fucking command centers under hospitals.
Outside of that, silence. As an aside, I think it's still open to debate as to whether or not this tactic is worth it. Like, is it worth the trade-off to get this information in front of more people when the conversation can so quickly turn from the issues and into creator drama? In this latest chapter, I don't think it was. Granted, I didn't really expect that these people would be petty enough or dumb enough to actually sue me or threaten to, but I probably should have, so that's on me. That debate, though, is open only to people that actually care about and talk about the genocide. Not you, or you, or you, or any of your freak show fan bases. As far as that first group of people goes, the people whose input I care about, they have been mostly supportive of these efforts. Do whatever you can to get the word out to as many people as possible. That's the feedback I've been getting, so that's what I've been trying to do. But again, that might not always be the case, and that is subject to change. Aside from the cease and desist being, you know, a joke, the other main reason I'm down to clown in court is because Ethan keeps proving my point over and over again. Like every day that passes and every time he opens his mouth on his show, he continually proves that my allegedly defamatory claim that he is backing a genocide is actually very correct. In the very stream he was supposed to be disproving the assertion that he supports genocide, he brought out the most explicit IDF talking points he'd used to date.
I feel like this is a force that's going to help end the war, not fucking keeping hostages and underground and like sending, just continuing to provoke Israel to attack them.
Oh, that what's happening? Are the Palestinians just provoking Israel? See how they victim blame? See how Israel gets to act innocent at this whole thing? And no matter what Palestinians do, it's always their fault.
And putting fucking like military complexes under hospitals. They literally put fucking command centers under hospitals.
The talking point he's using there, that Hamas builds command and control centers under hospitals, has been Israel's primary justification for the systematic destruction.
Which is why I said you can't bomb hospitals just because there's a terrorist there. You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't feel emboldened to kill people because they've killed people. We shouldn't be killing people because they've killed people. But that's what people do. That's why the death penalty is a thing that's heavily argued. I don't think we should kill people because they killed people. Okay? Unless you're in a direct self-defense situation, okay? That's when we can have conversations. I don't believe in vigilante justice. I don't believe in any of that. And not even legally through a system. I can explain to you why it happens, but I'm not excited by it. I'm disappointed that humans still haven't evolved to a point of like not needing to do this to each other. But we're not there yet. Because one, we're all arguing about why we're even on the planet in the first place. And two, half the world thinks God created them. You don't think that's going to be an issue? Which we'll cover right after this, about Charlie Kirk talking about objective morality and then bringing up God.
Of Gaza's healthcare infrastructure for over 19 months now. That talking point is a justification for one of the key elements of Israel's approach to genocide. It's genocidal propaganda. There's no other way to put it. He is sharing genocidal propaganda to millions of people. A few episodes later,
Chad says, do they put command centers under hospitals? I don't know. I'm not there. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't trust groups of men to tell the truth. I don't know what's going on. It doesn't matter. Even if they were, it doesn't matter. But I don't even know if that's happening. They're acting like it matters if it's true. It doesn't even matter if it's true.
Ethan and his wife Hila downplayed Israel's mass targeted assassinations of journalists by claiming that the IDF doesn't do that.
It's not like Israel that is worried. Look, it's not like Israel's going to do a precision strike on Hassan. They don't fucking. Yeah, but it is dangerous. It's a war zone. Like I agree, it's dangerous.
It's a war zone. I don't think you guys understand Israel. It doesn't work like that.
They're not.
Yes, they do. They do that more than anyone ever, actually. It's the last possible group of people on Earth that you could claim doesn't intentionally target journalists. This is just pure misinformation that is used to run cover for Israel as it commits a genocide, a major factor of which is limiting people's exposure to the atrocities they are committing. And the most direct way they can do that is by assassinating journalists over and over and over and over.
So many journalists.
Again, a couple weeks ago in a debate with Sam Cedar, Ethan continued to expose himself as a propagandist for Israel's genocide. He repeatedly blamed Palestinian resistance for Israel's genocidal actions in Gaza.
They could have done that. They could have ended it after a week.
I mean, Hamas could have ended the war anytime too.
How could have Hamas ended the war?
By releasing the hostages?
No, listen. Israel has said time and time again that the release of the hostages is not going to end their assault on Gaza. They have said this over
I don't believe that's
over and over.
I haven't seen those statements. I've seen the opposite.
At any time, they could have done that.
Well, what has Hamas done to end the war?
Rudy was saying that Palestinians are taught at 2 years old to kill Americans.
Palestinians are taught to kill us at 2 years old.
That's pretty spicy.
Yeah.
Do we have that one?
Like Kamala.
Hassan was killed in an Israeli airstrike on this camp here. I can't say its name. He was 14 years old. Hassan started singing with his father years before the genocide started. A song tied to Israel's 1982 invasion of Beirut that they adapted to describe Gaza. His father said Hassan was his soul.
حسن ولد الوحيد.
Hassan was my only child. Hassan was more than a son, a child, and a friend. He was more than anything.
أكثر من ابن، أكثر من ولد، أكثر من صاحب، أكثر من كل شيء.
Israel has been escalating its attacks on Gaza, which includes the hospital bombing that just happened. The last 24 hours, 80 people dead. Since officially breaking the ceasefire deal March 18th. Israeli forces have killed nearly 2,400 Palestinians in Gaza since ending the temporary truce in March. Since March, 2,400 people have died. Since March. Said, we are Palestinians, we are not terrorists. We are the rightful owners and want to take back our homes. Okay? This was our last game with us, my friend. This is a different group of children, okay? So this is a different group of kids. Their friend died. This was the last game we played with the boys. And now you're gone. May God have mercy on you. Okay? So just a reminder, as we're having these conversations, okay, and Ethan Klein goes, how am I not pro-Palestinian? Well, you literally say things like Israel has the right to defend itself. Israel has the right to bomb a hospital, killing 80 plus people? Israel has the right to take away these kids' friends, these fathers' sons, these mothers' husbands?
What have they done to end?
Sorry, that's so loud.
Early dawn to say Hamas offered all the hostages in agreement in response to Israel not coming into Gaza. I mean, there's just to defend Israel's actions.
That didn't happen
either.
That's
being inevitable.
What I'm getting to is Hamas, I think they knew that this was the reaction that would happen.
By this logic, there is nothing Israel could do that can't be blamed on Hamas, which is a genocidal logic because they're committing genocide and doing exactly what he is doing here, blaming Hamas. This is the logic employed by the IDF and the Israeli state and its propagandists, and this sort of thing is what makes Ethan one of them. In this debate, Ethan also repeatedly conflates anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism, which Sam Seder deconstructs pretty effectively, in my opinion.
This will never happen, but in a totally just world, regardless of your background, any kind of fucking Zionist tendency should be treated in the same way as being a fucking rabid neo-Nazi. And you shouldn't even let someone be the fucking local dog catcher as Felix was posting if they've ever exhibited any sort of positive feelings about the state of Israel. I'm so serious about this.
Now, to me, that seems like extremely dangerous, dehumanizing language about what could arguably be 70% of the Jewish diaspora, and certainly probably people you know in your family.
You go in and you're making this about anti-Semitism by doing this hopscotch about a poll that people had positive feelings that Jewish people do, and then therefore he is anti-Semitic. And honestly, that type of conflation, I think, is so dangerous and so disingenuous. I have had a guy who went to my bar mitzvah, my sister's bar mitzvah, my kid's bar mitzvah, sat at Passover with me 3 or 4 times, call my father and ask him if I'm anti-Semitic. That is just an example, an illustration of conflating what he's clearly talking about Zionism. Was it hyperbole to say any time in life, whatever? The fact of the matter is this conflation is dangerous for Jews. It is a fig leaf and a way of weaponizing anti-Semitism that has enabled Donald Trump to do the shit he's doing, that has enabled the slaughter of thousands upon thousands of children and women and men, for that matter. It is not keeping Israelis safe. And this type of conflation, Ethan, is what I find far more irresponsible, frankly, than the idea that he said positive any time.
Not only is this another textbook defense used by the genocidal state of Israel, but what he's saying here is also anti-Semitic. He's using this poll to speak for all Jews.
Now, to me, that seems like extremely dangerous, dehumanizing language about...
Also, I just don't like the idea that Semites are only Jews. I'm a Semite. I'm not a Jew. So when you say anti-Semitic, everyone always thinks Jew. You can be Semitic and not a Jew, guys. So, like, who's being more anti-Semitic in this situation when he says fucking Arabs? A lot of Palestinians are Semitic. They're Semites. I just feel like we're having there's a deep misunderstanding of what is happening. Like, I know Israel likes to colonize, but, like, you can't colonize the word Semite. Like, it doesn't belong to just you. It belongs to all of us.
What could arguably be 70% of the Jewish diaspora.
Lots of Jewish people think this thing, therefore criticizing that thing is anti-Semitic. Hey man, no it's not. The criticism is not about their Jewishness, it's about Israel. The only one here making it about their Jewishness is you. In this same conversation, Ethan blamed Palestinians for Israel's mass killing of peaceful Palestinian protesters with sniper fire during the Great March of Return in 2018.
They were marching in the Great March of Return week after week after week.
Sam, was there Hamas activity at the Great March?
Sinwar was marching.
Actually, great point. It's true to say Zionists are Jewish. Most Zionists are actually Christian. Well, that's the irony too. I think Sam brings that up to him, right? Or was it, who brought that up to Ethan? Like that Zionists are often very Christian. And so it's like confusing. Like Joe Biden says he's a Zionist. Justin Trudeau said he was a Zionist. Like being a Zionist doesn't mean Jew. That's why Ethan is being so disingenuous when he says, or disingenuous when he says like, oh, this is an anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish sentiment. Yeah, Sam did. Okay.
Sinwar was marching with them.
Were people attacking the border wall?
During the Great March of Return, the first dozens of these things before the snipers? No, they weren't. So there were the people for peace.
There was Hamas activity. They were attacking the fence. They were like trying to cross the border.
They were
but not militants. Militants were trying to cross the border.
We know where he got this talking point from, his friend Destiny, and we've seen him use that before a bunch of times.
Overwhelmingly peaceful. Just as a quick thing, because people love to talk about the Great March of Return, the peaceful March of Return. All of this is like the peaceful Great March of Return. Remember this, okay? This is all the peaceful Great March of Return.
And we've gone over this before, but the human rights reports were very clear on what happened in 2018. Thousands of people were shot by IDF snipers, hundreds of them killed, while standing hundreds of meters from the fence. It's actually pretty insane that this talking point is still being used. Like, it's disgusting. Men, women, children, medics, aid workers, and disabled people were shot and killed. If your retort to this fact is, well, there was separate instances of violence at the border.
They were attacking the fence. They were like trying to cross the border.
Whether you want to admit it or not, you are doing genocide propaganda. You are offering a moral justification for this violence. There are plenty more instances of this sort of thing in Ethan's debate with Hassan, which I could go over, but I feel like you get the point by now. If Ethan is really going to go through with his I don't support genocide lawsuit, he should probably stop using talking points that support genocide. These guys know that.
That's it. Just stop doing it. That's why the question earlier in chat, guys, saying should we be more lenient on people? If you're using Israeli talking points to justify the genocide, we don't have time to be lenient, Habibi. Talk to your mothers, talk to your therapist about it. People are dying while you're too busy figuring out, is this technically a genocide actually? Actually, I don't know if this is a genocide. People are dying while you are debating whether this is a genocide. It's a genocide. Get over it. Like Netanyahu has said, he will do whatever it takes to protect, quote, Israelis. He will do whatever it takes to keep Israel a thing at the expense of everybody else. And that is dangerous. Destroying the world just to maintain status? Fire Nation much? Okay. You don't get to rise to power at the expense of everybody else.
Doing here is wrong. In his announcement tweet a couple months back, Mutahar said, I never want to financially harm or bring a lawsuit to a creator, but slander like this is far too extreme and unchecked. So at this time, we're exploring legal actions, blah, 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 blah. I never want to do this thing that I know is wrong and predatory, but I'm going to do it anyway because I have no principles and you hurt my feelings. Defamation is not saying extreme things. That's not what defamation is, and it shouldn't take thousands of dollars and months, potentially years of our time to get these guys to understand that. It might, though, because they're rich, which is amazing. It's a beautiful system that we have, but I hope it doesn't. And then recall what Ethan said 8 years ago when he spoke about his experience of being sued by a more wealthy YouTuber.
It's unbelievable. It's criminal. The American justice system is just, it's how can you defend yourself? Like, you guys gave us $150,000 to fight this lawsuit. It's not enough. It's not even enough. And I'm just wondering, if we didn't have the backing and support of all you guys and the means to even throw $50,000 of our own money to defend this case, how would we ever stand up to this? It's like those with money in the legal system have the ability to destroy.
Man, Ethan really lived long enough to become the villain, huh? It really is so human. That's why I say you are not the exception to the rule. This is why Peterson has so many faults, because he ended up becoming the thing he was so afraid of becoming. Ethan, I know how easy it is to become the villain. I was so afraid of becoming a Nazi that I became one. Peterson was so afraid of becoming a Nazi. And then he turned around and he was like, actually, kind of based. Actually, vibes. Like, that's like, I'm still like, that's why I say don't think you can't be a Peterson either, guys. Be careful. Be careful. You could also be an Ethan or a Peterson. And I actually saw somebody on TikTok saying progressives are going to run into the same problem of being in an echo chamber. Y'all better be careful. Y'all better be careful. Okay, it could happen to anybody. You are not special. It's the moment you think you are not going to become a Nazi that you become a Nazi.
And bully and just defeat people on the grounds of I have more money. And you never would have a chance of defending yourself. It's obscene.
It's not a threat. I'm going to sue you.
Ethan now constantly threatens lawsuits over creators he doesn't like and creators that say things that are mean about him.
When I'm done with Noah, when I'm done with the other one, the big one that's dropping probably next week, my full attention is going to you, George. Like the Eye of Sauron. I see you. I see you out there, you fucking cockroach. You're full of shit, bro. You're not going to do shit. And I'll tell you who's going to do shit. Me. I'm coming, okay? So you're not safe either.
Ethan,
just wait.
Please. I'm married. You can't come. No coming. Ethan, enough.
Keep talking that shit.
He has become the villain, and if he goes through with this and somehow manages to succeed, he retains Alan Dershowitz, we get Richard Goldstone on the bench in a Zionist kangaroo court, that would set a pretty bad precedent, I think. If you disagree with someone's opinions about you, you should respond to it yourself, like an adult, in the court of public opinion, not pay a lawyer thousands of dollars to respond for you in a pre-written email, video essay. It's pretty clear that he's done most of this stuff to make money and for content, which is kind of funny because defamation's supposed to be the other way around. Like, he's made tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars off of my alleged defamation. I don't know how that factors into proving damages, making a bunch of money, more money.
That's a great point. Because Ethan's views are up too. When he talks about drama, his views go up. That is a great, didn't that happen with somebody else in a content creator sphere? Where they claimed being impacted, but actually did the reverse. That is a great point.
Money than you would have made without it. I don't know, but I guess we'll find out. Maybe. I would close with some point about right-wing free speech hypocrisy, because a lot of these people supported this lawsuit despite claiming to want free speech.
I do think people that make up bullshit like this probably do need to have a degree of accountability, especially if they're saying and making claims like that you're...
Yeah, sure. Emotionally, we would all love the internet. I would love for Destiny to have to take back the bullshit he spread about me that is not true. But how do we do that without compromising everybody? I am not willing to win against Destiny at the expense of the community and everybody else. And I think that's the difference between me and these people. Is like, yeah, that would be nice. But how do we do that without fucking everybody over? And if we can't, then fuck it. My actions speak for myself. And if you know what I mean, you want to believe Destiny over everybody else, that's on you. You were never going to care anyways. But that's the problem. I would love to make all these men on the internet who've said shit about me accountable for the lies they've spread. But how do I do that without ruining any stability we have as content creators on this site?
you're a supporter of a genocide. I think this is a very extreme claim to make. It's not like you just say this out of the blue, right? And because of that, I do think that there should be some degree of accountability for it.
But it's not even worth it. This is the most predictable thing that has ever happened on Earth. The Zionist and right-wing lip service about free speech is not an actual principle. Of course it's not. It's a tool. Sometimes that tool is a shield to defend their right to be racist loudly online.
I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people.
And sometimes it's a sword to attack people who criticize them for doing that.
It's not a threat. I'm going to sue you.
None of these people actually care about any of these issues. Their support for a cause is entirely dictated by whether or not they like the people that are supporting that cause, whether or not they have some sort of
I agree. That's why I often say, but like, what are your values though? That's why I will say, I don't know what your values are. I feel like you're arguing for somebody else's values. What are yours? That's why I've tried to start saying like, this is Brittany's opinion now. Like, here's my opinion now, because I do think people forget that a lot of these YouTubers aren't giving us their actual opinions. And I want to know, like, what do you actually believe? Do you believe this is okay? Like, do you think this action is okay? And it's like, well, maybe it's okay if it's people I don't like, or maybe it's okay if it's people I do like. And I want to say like, my values are this. And, you know, here's how I feel about things. And this is how I think about things. But I do think sometimes, nobody really has any values to stand on. They're just debating the next win. And I actually think that's what's so difficult about this space. Who actually has values and who's just pretending to have them because the views are there?
Based relationship, but that also means we, myself included, need to stop treating it as if it's anything other than that, with the exception being using these morons to educate people. I think that's good. I think people should keep doing that. All right, so anyways, that's all I have to say about the lawsuit stuff. Ethan and Mutahar, if you are not suing me, that's great. I would prefer that, so I don't have to fundraise for legal fees during a genocide. If you are actually going to sue me, though, please just let me know.
You know what they should do? Ethan and Mutahar should, because they're rich, they should pay Noah's legal fees. Okay? And Noah should keep raising money for Palestinians. Yeah? And then everybody wins. They're all multi-millionaires. I don't think Noah is a multimillionaire. I'm assuming Noah is not as rich as Mutahar and Ethan. He's probably made good money. He probably has a good savings. He's probably not hurting for money. But I doubt Noah Samson is like is as rich as Ethan. So like Ethan and Mutahar should pay the bill, and then they can all go to court and have fun. But Noah still gets to raise money for the Palestinians. Win-win.
Fundraise again, you will probably lose the anti-slap motion and have to pay my
I'm going to put the link to Noah's charity for Palestinians in the chat.
Legal fees, and we'll just be wasting a bunch of time and money, which in the grand scheme of things is not that big of a deal. I'll be fine, but that will be annoying. So let me know, please. Viewers, if you can, donate to the Gaza Aid fundraiser. I think we can raise a lot of money. I'll be
Link
going
in the
live
chat.
starting Saturday, May 17th at 2 p.m. Pacific time and streaming for a few days and do some guests and other stuff. So stay tuned for the specifics about the times. And sorry for the slop. Sorry, this is a little messy. I'm getting back in the swing of things. It's been a while since I've even sat down to write anything. So coming soon will be more stuff that's actually good. So yeah, goodbye.
Goodbye. Noah also covered the Illymation, the Alyssa stuff versus Think Before You Sleep. He did really great videos on that situation. We brought it up earlier in stream. In general, I usually like Noah, so I'm going to go ahead and like the video. I think you guys should check it out. I'll link his video in the chat as well, but you should check out the fundraiser if you have the money, because remember, if you don't have any money in your account, guys, you are officially the charity case in which you should donate to yourself every day, because all of us have to live under capitalism. So don't forget to feed your families before you try to feed other people's families.